Everybody, welcome. Today I want to share with you a couple of cards that I made using the Honeybee Gear Up set and for these little robots, and I think they make the cutest cards. I made these into shaker cards. I don't know if you can see, but I made a little window to make them into shaker cards, and I think they're just fun cards for children. So to make the cards that I'm doing for you today, I used a set of stamps from Honeybee, and the little images are called Build-A-Bot. So I got the stamp set and the coordinating dies. I'm going to be using the coordinating dies with it today too. And I also purchased these cute greetings that go along with the set called Gear Up from Honeybee Stamp as well. But I'm going to be using those today. But you can see it has a lot of cute little things that go, references that go with the robots. But you could also have just used like a simple happy birthday on the card as well if you didn't want to get both of the sets. For this one, I used a double stitch die from Gina K Designs. This is her rectangle small set of double stitch dies, just to give that little extra detail there. Again, you could just cut it out as a plain rectangle too, and you wouldn't actually, if you don't have the set of stitch dies. I just like that little extra stitching. And the second one, I also used this stitch rectangle frame from Fawn. You could have just made your own frame if you didn't have that set, you know, too. But since I had it, I used both of those items today. For stamping my little robots today, I'm going to use this new technique that I learned from Jennifer McGuire on her site. And if you have questions, even after I show you, you'll go to her YouTube, and you know she probably explains things better than I do. But what I got from it is I just cut out like a little template out of a different color cardstock of the items that I want to stamp for the robot, and then I just lined up my stamps in those areas like so. Then all I need to do to like really produce a lot of these little robots is just place these little pieces right into the slots where they go for all the things that we're going to use today. We're not going to use the little belly portion of the robot, so I'm not even going to bother putting the little piece in there right now, but if I were using it, I could put the piece there too. So now I have all my pieces there. I'm going to use some Hero Arts Intense Black ink, because this is a good Copic marker ink, and I'm going to use the Copic markers for coloring my little robot. So then all I have to do is close the door, and as long as I keep this little template right in the corner, it's going to stay lined up. So I can go back and double ink it so I get a nice crisp inking on my little robot. And there we go. Now I put a little bit of tape there, so now I can just flip this up, and then I can take out my little pieces. There's a little, you can see there's a little stick here. What I did is, just to give a little tack there, is I added some of the Tim Holtz sticky grid sheets there, and that just gives a little tack so that it holds my pieces in place. So if I wanted to make another robot, all I would have to do is, after I've die cut my little pieces, stick them right into those slots again, and ink up another robot. Anyway, you get the idea. So I could do all the different parts that I want. I can make as many of these little pieces of the robot that I might need or like, and it's very quick and easy once you make the little template and line up your stamp in the spaces there. So I selected the little parts of the robot that I'm going to color, and now I'm just going to go ahead and color these. I'm going to speed this up a little bit as I do my coloring, but I'll leave the markers in so you can see the ones that I use to color our little robot. And we're going to go to the panel that we need to, and that we're going to use as our focal point, and actually sort of use the robot as a guideline for where we're going to cut our little window for the shaker card and the rest of the body of our robot. So I'm just going to assemble it here. And I have the little body that we're going to use. We just didn't color that. So we can sort of see in a general idea of where we're going to cut that little body for our robot. So that gives us a pretty good idea right there is where we're going to place it. Let me get these out of the way, and I'm going to just put this here and sort of eyeball where we're going to want our little window, right about there. So I'm going to take just a little bit of purple tape and stick that down and take this to my die cutting machine. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm going to put those to the side, and we're ready to get an extra panel, the other little panel that we need, and it's measuring 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. And we'll pull out our Misty. Okay, so I've cut the the extra panel, and what I've done here is I've taken the, you know, the panel that with the stitching, and I've just lined it up, the hole that we made, right over the little stomach part of the robot. And then what I'll do now is just line the other panel that we just created where the stomach is going to get stamped right on top of that, so they're both lined up. I put a little bit of micropore tape there just to hold it in place. We've inked up our stamp with some intense black ink from Hero Arts. I'm just going to go ahead and stamp that, get a nice crisp image there, and if all goes well, this is all going to line up perfectly. So let me take that right out. Put this to the side for right now. And take off our micropore tape here. Now the cuteness is about to happen. So yes, that lines up nicely. So what we're going to do now is just create our little cute little robot. Of course we have to color that center part, so we'll do that next, but just wanted to give you an idea of how we're going to assemble it. So it's going to look pretty much like that. Really cute. So okay, let me just speed through this coloring here. I'm just going to color the little stomach part of the robot as well. Okay, so our little stomach part of the robot is all set and ready to go. Now what we need to do, so I'm just going to add a little bit of interest to the edges of this panel. So in order to do that, I'm just going to take some purple tape and apply it along this, right along the stitching, so that I get a little border there, and we can add just a little bit of interest color-wise on this white panel. This doesn't take a lot of effort, and I just think it's worth it for the end effect. I think what I'm going to use is just a little bit of squeezed lemonade Distress Oxide ink on a brush right around the corners, just to give a little bit of extra, just a little bit of interest here. So just, I mean, just a touch, not a lot at all, just a little bit, just to give a little extra interest to our card. You see how little I'm putting? Just a little bit, just to give a little bit of something, a little extra pizzazz to the edge of the card. All right. So I'm just going to remove the tape, and you see just a little bit of extra interest. Now we can start putting this panel together. This little piece of acetate I just cut from an old photo holder from a photo file. I have a lot of these extra little pockets, and I find they work really nicely just to put on the a window for a card just like this. So I'm going to take out my score tape, and I'm just going to go like with the score tape right around the edges of this little window, just enough that we're going to hold our little piece of acetate in place, but it'll be on there with a pretty strong hold. Let's remove the backing here. There we go. There's a little piece of acetate going right over the opening there. Then we can turn this back over. And do now is just start putting our little robot together. So I'm going to use some Connect glue and just put all the little body parts where we want them to be. And I'm going to put the little antenna here, and then if we work quickly we can actually sneak some of these underneath a little bit, like so. And the two little arms, I think we're going to have them going up this way, like saying hello. That one, and one of his arms right there. And the two little legs. Glue those two in place like so. I'm going to put an acrylic block on top of that and just set it to the side, let it dry for a second. And I'm going to add a little bit of embellishment here. To our little belly portion. I'm going to add just a couple dots of glue here, right in the middle of those gears. Picker here and pick out a couple of gems that match the little gears and just put those right there in place. So there's a little green one. This comes from Lucy's Little Things jewel assortment, and rainbow, I think it's called the rainbow assortment. And I like this one because it has all different kinds of little gemstones in all different colors, so you can pick out just the one you use. I pick out a yellow one and a green one for this one. So now we can put that to the side to dry a little bit. For the window, we're going to use some foam tape. I have this narrow double-sided foam tape here that I got online, and I don't remember where it came from, but I like the size of this one. However, you could also just, this is a 3M too, but you could also just use the 3M cut in half like this one, just to give you that same effect. I'm going to use the same one all the way around because there's just a tiny little bit of difference in the height of these two, but you could use either one. So now we have enclosed our little window here, and inside here is where our little sequins or beads are going to go. Then I'm just going to finish this off around the edges here. Just want to use enough of this foam tape to keep it nice and flat when it's going through the mail and whatever. So there we go. So now we've applied all of our foam tape. So this pocket is not that hugely deep, but deep enough that I'm going to be able to just add some sequins. These are sequins that I got a long time ago from Martha Stewart. I don't know if they're still available. It's called Sugar Plum. But any like little sequence like that, you know, I don't want anything that's real thick that I'm going to use in there, but that would work. And also, just for the heck of it, because I've never used these before, I'm going to add a few of these little mini beads. We'll see how this works together, because like I said, I've never used these micro beads in a shaker window before, but I've seen them used, and I think it makes a great little sound with these little beads. So we're going to add some of those beads in there too. All right, very good. Some of the beads are like outside of the little thing, but I don't really even care because we're going to cover all that up. So now I'm going to just remove all of our backing to expose our foam adhesive. And I'm hoping this is going to turn out really cute. As you can see, I'm doing a different color scheme on this one than my other two cards. That's one of the things I like about making these YouTubes for you, because I try to make the card that I created, like from beginning to end, right on line for you. And when I'm doing that, it's fun to try a whole different color scheme, or just a little bit of different each time I do it. So there we go. You have our little beads in there, and I think that's going to be really cute. Okay, so to finish the card, I'm using a card base that is a little bit bigger than your A2 size card. This one actually would be considered an A6 or European size card. So what I did is I cut this card base from Nina white, heavy white cardstock, and it measures 9 inches by 5 3/4, and I'm gonna just score it for an A6 card, which is at 4 1/2. So score it there and fold it. Did you hear that? I have those little beads underneath. A couple of those little beads are actually on my surface here, which I can't even see them because they're so small, but they're there. Okay, so now I'm going to just use that for my card base. And I took my frame, stitch frame from a Lawn Fawn die, and I cut one of the pattern papers that is from Honeybee. From this particular assortment of papers, which I love because of all the bright colors, and it's called Birthday Bash. So I cut this one, and what I'm going to do is just attach this frame. We'll use some of the Connect glue. I could have left this still in my die and attached some tape to it, but I've taken it out ahead of time. My last one I left it in, and then I was able to just add the double stick adhesive before taking it out of the frame or the die. So let's just do it this way, and I'm sure this is going to work out just fine. Maybe better because we can actually have a little time to maneuver that into place, because I want to leave that little bit of a white edge, which is why this is a bigger size, an A6 size card. If you wanted it to just be the regular A2 size card, then you're going to go straight all the way to the edge with your little frame, and you won't have this little white border on the edge. Okay, so then I cut another panel that is 1/4 inch bigger all the way around. So this measures 3 inches by 4 inches, and I'm just going to attach this with some adhesive tape, and we're going to just put that right up here. I wanted to leave space down the bottom so that we still have room to put our greeting. And before we attach this, that's what we're going to do next. We're going to put in our greeting. So I have my Misty out here. I'm going to put our card in, and we're going to use the greeting that says happy birthday. So I'm just going to center this under our panel. I've cut this into my little stamp. I did a little surgery on it and cut it in two. Now I'm going to put it back together again so that I have our greeting that says happy birthday. Then I'm just going to use some intense black Hero Arts ink to ink up our greeting. Stamp that in place. Make sure we have a nice crisp greeting there. So we'll put it on twice. There we go. Sometimes I like to take this right to my embossing table and put some clear embossing powder right on top of that little greeting, but we're not going to do that today, but you could do that as well. So now all we need to do is add our little butt, and I'm going to just use some Connect glue to attach this as well. I've tried to put it on with adhesive tape, but I ran out of my adhesive, so let's just put it on with some Connect glue. That also gives us a little time to maneuver it a little bit in place, like so. So there we go. That's our little green version of the card. And it's very similar to our little pink version of the bot card. Oh, you know what I did to this card, which I haven't done to this one yet, is I took, and I don't know if you can see it, but I added a little bit of Wink Stella, you know, to give it a little bit of glitter. And over the eyes, I also added, I put in some glossy accents on the eyes and on the little antenna piece, you know, just to give it a little extra pizzazz. So you could do that as well. And this is the blue version of the card that I did. And on the blue one, very similar again. I didn't use the little beads in either one of these two. But on this one, I just, instead of putting the frame around the edge as an accent, I just took two pieces of the paper from the Honeybee Birthday Bash that coordinated with my coloring, and I just offset them with my little robot feature panel. I added a couple of little gears here and the greeting from the set that says "Gear up for a great birthday." And when I was doing this, I just inked up the for a great happy birthday in some Hero Arts. I think it's called Dusty Blue ink for that one, and the orange is archival. It's the archival Bright Tangelo for that little gear up part of the greeting. Well, I think that one turned out really cute. This one actually might be my favorite. But I just wanted to show you that we could make all these different little versions of the card simply by changing up the coloring just a little bit, maybe adding some different things to the inside of the little belly, like the beads here are kind of fun on that one. Thanks for watching. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up and share it, subscribe, and I will be back to share another one of my cards with you real soon. Thank you.